I'm Kevin Maguire, and welcome to the Daily Mirror's election dissection, pole position. Coming up on tonight's show, we have the D-Day commemorations, the explosive £2,000 Tory tax lie from the TV debate, and is Labour strong on defence? That's all tonight on Pole Position. That's still all tonight on Pole Position. 15 minutes of hard-hitting election analysis, cutting through the waffle with hopefully a bit of fun and a few laughs on the way. Before we speak to our special guest tonight, the former Defence Minister and Labour Deputy Leader, Tom Watson, let's have a brief look at what's happened today on Pole Position.
Now, I cannot and will not claim that we have got everything right. No government should. But I am proud of what we have achieved together, the bold actions we have taken.
People can choose, do you want to carry on with this chaos, or do you want stability under a Labour government?
They think the Conservative Party is taking them for granted, it's out of touch.
And let's give a big welcome to Tom Watson. Tom, how are you doing?
You?
Yeah. Now, Tom, you were a defence minister. You were the Minister for Veterans.
I was.
When you watch the D-Day commemoration, what do you feel? You know, these brave people who, you know, their ranks are thinned every year.
Yeah. It gets to you every year. I mean, when you've been a minister for veterans, you just realise how there's a generation of people who just made our country safe, and you feel really responsible for them. And D-Day, of course, I mean, it would have had extra significance because, you know, we've got war in Europe, which that generation never wanted to see again. The 80th anniversary, we've got struggle around the world, and we're in the middle of a general election, so we're kind of deciding what kind of country do we want to be again. So, and I noticed the thing that quite moved me was they got the First Lady of France welcoming the American vets to France. So the French take it very seriously, and they are very, very welcome partners when we celebrate D-Day. They do a good show for us, so it's an amazing day and it's really important. And of course, we're talking about the defence of the realm this week in the general election.
Yeah. Do we do enough for vets?
Well, it's very interesting that actually. I think I've always thought that modern day veterans. I mean, let's remember we've only got 80,000 people in the infantry now. They always are highly skilled. They come out of the army highly skilled, you know, with lots of skills that could be placed. But they very often transitioning into civilian life is very hard for our veterans. So I think we could do a lot more to support our veterans. And the thing that always worried me, whether I was in government or on the backbenches in opposition, was you look at the number of homeless people, particularly in London, with military backgrounds, and I just think we could do a lot more there.
Yeah. And Tom, Labour is fielding more candidates at this general election with a military background than I can remember in my lifetime.
Yes, for me, I mean, we've got 14 candidates running, and remember, all previous Labour governments, even in the 70s, we'd had people who'd known military service. In fact, the great Clement Attlee was the last man off the beach in Gallipoli in the First World War. He carried his commanding officer off the beach in terrible circumstances. And it was only until in my lifetime we actually had people who'd served in the Second World War until relatively recently. The last veteran of the Second World War was actually Mr. P.R. Carber, who was a Labour MP in Ealing Southall. So it always concerned me, particularly when I was deputy leader, that we need to really work hard to encourage veterans to stand for Parliament, for all the political parties, because their voice needs to be heard in the Commons chamber. And when I saw the roll call of not just the quantity of veterans we've got standing, but the quality of veterans, they've served in all the services. To be honest, that was the best news I'd heard this whole election.
A military cross holder.
A military cross holder standing in Selly Oak, but all of them, all of them have known, proper service in all the armed forces, and that will actually be really important for Keir Starmer if he wins the election. There are votes have to be, or debates have to be had, and decisions have to be taken by prime ministers for military action. And their experience will be really important within the Parliamentary Labour Party, but also for the quality of the debate in the House of Commons as well. So it's not just my party that work hard at trying to get other vets in, it's the other parties as well. So if they win, or a sizable chunk of them win their election, I think it will have a really important impact on the quality of debate in the years ahead.
Yeah. Do you think it's the most telling, significant change in the Labour Party under Keir Starmer from Jeremy Corbyn, who was a long-standing peacenik? He was anti-nuclear, although the Labour manifestos of 2017 and 2019 didn't say scrap. Tried the way the Neil Kinnock manifesto did in 1987. But nevertheless, you could not imagine this platoon of military candidates signing up in the Corbyn era.
No, I don't think they'd have been attracted to the Labour Party. And sadly, I think there would have been some people who were in senior positions at the Labour Party who wouldn't have welcomed them representing us. But of course, even then, even in the, dare I call them the bad old days of Jeremy Corbyn, Kevin, I probably would get shot down to say that. But in the uncertain times with Jeremy's leadership, there were a very large number of people who were worried that Labour would do the basic thing and keep the country secure. He didn't believe in the nuclear deterrent, although thankfully, and rather surprisingly, Labour stuck to that position, mainly because our unions supported the independent nuclear deterrent, including Len McCluskey, who recognised that his union had a rich tradition of supporting defence workers, and so Jeremy was thwarted in his ambition there. But I don't think there's any doubt that Labour has really changed when it comes to defence policy. And you just had to see that event this week on Tuesday with Keir and 10 of our military veteran candidates.
Look, Tom, I'm an old CNDer, which isn't a very particularly popular position to take at the moment. But do you think Keir Starmer's made Labour bomb-proof on defence? Because a lot of attacks from the Conservative Party, as you know, particularly of the shadow cabinet members, including Angela Rayner, who voted against renewing Trident. Do you think he?
I think.
Ride it through.
Who knows what attacks will be made on Keir Starmer by the Tories? They're obviously doing their best, but I think people just know. I mean, if you're going to do attack lines, there needs to be a degree of truth in it, and I think they know. When he was Director of Public Prosecutions, he would have been involved in in cases where we were prosecuting terrorist subjects. He knows the security paradigm, and I don't think anyone is any doubt that as long as he's our Prime Minister, we'll be committed to the nuclear deterrent and the armed forces. And of course, the one thing he also announced this week is a strategic defence review. And we definitely need one, whoever wins the election. The last one was before Vladimir Putin decided to invade Ukraine. And arguably, there are some very big discussions about what the collective military strength of the countries within Western Europe is in the future. And there's a big debate about the role of NATO as well. So I think that strategic defence review will be really important for Keir. And I don't think any senior serious people are in any doubt where he stands on that issue.
Yeah. One sustained attack on Keir Starmer and Labour last night in the TV debate from Rishi Sunak was on what he said was Labour's plan to raise tax by £2,000 on people. Now, that's Keir Starmer's called that a lie because Sunak said it had been costed by the Treasury. The Treasury said that's not true. And in fact, there is a letter saying you can't go around saying this from the Mandarin. Do you think, one, Keir Starmer should have refuted that quicker and stronger last night? And two, by repeating the figure today, does Labour, rather than diffusing that attack, actually just get the figure higher in the headlines?
Well, the answer is I don't know. But what I do know about Tory attacks is they always attack, they always make tax claims, and they're generally always wrong. And on this occasion, they're absolutely wrong. And what I think, I mean, it's clearly quite a desperate act for Rishi Sunak, given his own economic record. But what I think is going on here is that they're trying to make a lie stick in. But it's very hard these days, isn't it? It's not just a 24-hour news broadcast media now. People dissect the words used by politicians within seconds on social media. And I noticed today, for example, obviously the civil service letter telling Rishi Sunak that he couldn't use the figures he claimed to have used last night rebutted that argument. But perhaps more importantly, that magazine, The Spectator, which is, as you know, historically very close to the Conservative Party, used the formula that Rishi Sunak used to assess Labour's potential tax pledge and have come out with a figure of £3,000 for the Tories. So it's a lot harder to tell lies in an election because there are more people watching. And I think we might find that it backfires on Rishi Sunak in the next day or two.
Yeah, because the Labour attack now seems, and from Keir Starmer, it's about the character of a Prime Minister with his back to the wall, resorting to lying. Do you think there's some mileage in that?
Well, clearly the Labour campaign is stung by that figure. And I mean, they genuinely believe he's lied. He's told an untruth knowingly. He must have known that figure was hooky. And he goes on national television. And of course, people say, why didn't Keir respond quicker? Well, I think if you're a decent person, you don't expect people to lie, do you, in those jobs? And so I think he would have been, I think he was probably giving Rishi Sunak the benefit of the doubt at the start of the debate. Did he just get his figures wrong? And then he realised that towards the end that it was an attack line and he knocked it down. But we'll see. I mean, sometimes lies do affect the outcome of elections. So maybe that's what they're gambling, and that they'll think the British people will believe them. And that's why I think Labour have come out very hard today to make sure that it is untrue. And it wouldn't surprise me if this row continues tomorrow and the day after as well, because of the seriousness of the allegation.
It used to be said that a lie was halfway around the world before truth could get its boots on. Do you think in an era, look, we're watching online? Do you think?
Well, there's instant reaction, isn't there? Yeah, I think the lie is disseminated quicker, but actually the rebuttal is disseminated quicker. And there's been all sorts of economists and commentators with authority in this area that have clearly said it's highly inappropriate that the Tories use this figure. And to me, I also noticed on the broadcast today, we had Gus O'Donnell, the former cabinet secretary, defending civil servants who have been put in an impossible position where they've been asked for spurious figures that they know are going to be used in this disreputable way. And so the integrity of the civil service is under threat. And I could see exactly why he felt that he needed to intervene there. That probably wouldn't have happened 20 years ago before these social media channels existed, or it certainly wouldn't have happened as quickly. So there is something about this particular election that I think is different, and it's the speed in which people respond to announcements.
Yeah. And finally, Tom, the last hour or so, the Welsh Parliament, the Senate, has passed a motion of no confidence in the First Minister. Horton Gethin. Can he stay or does he have to go?
Oh, I think he could stay. I mean, I don't know the constitutional position in the Senate as perhaps I should, but as far as I know, this isn't a binding vote, and we actually had a couple of colleagues that were sick or not available. So, it's not great for this to happen in the middle of an election, but he's only just been elected by the membership of the Labour Party, so I think he should be okay.
Tom, thank you very much for your time and joining us tonight on Pole Position. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll be back tomorrow, same place, same time.